Good morning, traders and investors. This is Joel Alcana, and welcome to Benzinga's pre-market show, brought to you by OptionsHouse. Joe, how you doing this Monday morning?
I'm pretty good today. How are you, Joel?
Oh, not too bad. A little bit snowy here, but
A little bit snowy. How about that Lions game yesterday?
hey, that was kind of fun, wasn't it? Seeing them flop around in the snow like that, and
So, wait, you said that was it Dana that was applying with the NFL?
yeah,
Was she applying for the snow shoveler job? Yeah, I hear they might have some openings now.
boy, they could have used something like that. No, I think she's looking at corporate offices of the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, things like that. So, boy, that was something though. That was really, really fun to see those players sliding around. Did you get to watch it, or were you doing things on your honeydew list?
I was doing both. I was going back and forth a little bit, but so I only saw a little bit. But I couldn't. I can't even imagine what it would be like to be on the field during that. Could they even see 10 yards away?
I don't watch a whole lot of pro football. I kind of got a little rule in my house that I put my wife through so much during college football Saturdays. It's from September through the end of November that I just give her a little bit of a break during the pro football season, so she can attend these 9, 10, 12 hour days with me on Michigan football Saturdays.
Well, that's very considerate of you.
Yeah, but did a few things around the house too. But taking a look, let's turn our attention here to the markets, and got a nice bump up on Friday with some good unemployment data. Had a real volatile pre-market session. We were on with you listeners here, and the market was bounced around quite a bit. But
It was crazy, Joel. That pre-market session, like right after the number, I think that's the choppiest I've almost seen in a long time from a number like that. We were up 10 points and we were flat, then we went up another 8 points and we came down almost flat, and then we rallied all day. So there was 2, 3, 4 head fakes right off the hop there. And I know, like, because I usually trade those numbers, and it was hard to get a feel for it. Often I will trade the equities off of the futures, but with that kind of movement just going crazy like that, it was real far hard. Maybe the computers were dominating, but I tell you, the human beings were probably sitting there and trying to make heads or tails out of the market action. It was just a chop fest.
yeah, I think we were talking about that, and I was asking you, now, do the big boys, do they play during numbers like that when there's that much volatility, or do they just make a market a mile wide and just wait for some sucker to come in there? I mean, because I was looking at the equities, I was looking at the top 10 futures in the S&Ps, and there were just no ticks in there. Was there
Yeah.
was there bids and offers out there, or was it just
They widen everything. Everything gets a lot wider, obviously, to avoid the adverse selection risk. And for the most part, like we always say, the majority of your market makers now are high frequency traders. When there is risk out there, when there is a number like that coming out, a potential market moving event, they will cancel and back off their orders because the adverse selection risk is higher. So they're looking not to get picked off. So, and that's what, human beings and everybody did back in the day too. The thing is, with everybody automated, everybody can cancel at the same time so quickly, leaves a vacuum area. So liquidity probably falls 95% around those numbers. And then that's obviously why you get the huge chop fest. As buyers come in, there's just nothing in the book. As sellers come in, there's just nothing in the book. And it drives the prices higher, drives the prices lower, until it starts to settle down, and then market makers and high frequency traders start coming back in, providing some liquidity, and that thickens it up and the volatility comes back down. So it's really just a matter of not having as much liquidity as you do at other times.
And you know what? I was a little bit surprised that all the pundits weren't saying that. Well, now there's good economic data here, and now QE is going to start sooner. But I just kind of swept that under the table. I guess they're looking for a big bad Ben to kind of sneak out without having to do any kind of tapering and throw it in the lap of Janet Yellen. But really, no talk with that. Now that we have a strong economy, GDP growth growing up, unemployment going down. Because actually, Ben did say that when the unemployment rate did get down to 7%, that's where they were considering some tapering actions. But that kind of discussion was absence from the news wires on Friday.
Yeah, you still hear it though. Like, I mean, they're going to taper her eventually. We know this is going to happen. I just wonder, like everybody says, once they actually do start to taper here, the market's going to start to come down. But like we were saying, I forget who were we on with last week, but we were saying on that, has the market already kind of priced that worry in? I don't know. Most people will say no. A fundamentalist will come on here and say no way. Once they start tapering, this market's in trouble. But we always know from being traders and being, that once everybody seems to be on one side of the trade, it usually goes the other way. So I think that's why we continue to climb this wall of worry. You do have people that don't want to be invested now because they know the taper's coming. So if everybody's still, underinvested here, it grinds the market higher. So, and it seems like every time we pull back, even a percent or two, you have other people that are underinvested and they're trying to get into this market. So, I don't know the end result, how it ends here, but we still climb the wall of worry here every single day, and we're continuing to climb here this morning. We're up another buck, so been as
Yeah,
high as.
coming up to an interesting technical area. We have exceeded Friday's high. Actually, we're trading right there right now, '06 even. Had a high last Monday at '09 even, and then the all-time high at 1250. Are we ready just to open up here, hold Friday's close, and just rip into uncharted grounds, or is this area that acted as resistance last week gonna prevail again?
First time up here since we've been back. What is the all-time high, Joel? 1812, is it?
1812.50.
1812.50. So you think the first time back up after, had a huge sell-off that we have, you might get some initial resistance, but I don't know. You always say, you're getting a running start out of here too. We're only 6 points away. The ranges have been expanding here. Obviously, we had a real expanded range on Friday, but if you're thinking you got 12, 14-point range potential here, that would put us up into new highs if the low stays intact, which is 1804.75. So I don't know. And in the in seasonality and Santa Claus rally and all the other fun stuff here, I don't see why not. We can't go up there and test those highs, but first time up there, maybe a little resistance.
And you mentioned before we started the show that odd lots were going to be hitting the tape today, but that's
Yeah.
all I ever see on the tape is odd lots.
What do you mean that's all you ever see on the tape?
I
Oh,
mean,
you consider 100 shares odd lots from back in your trading days.
right, right.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, literally, you're seeing stocks. I was looking at the tape this morning. I know Eric Hunsider over at Nanix, he was tweeting out saying he was looking at ALU, and there was a bunch of trades for 1 share, 2 shares. And I'm actually seeing that, too, if I'm looking here at my consolidated tape. At 8 o'clock, 8:23 seconds after, I'm seeing whole pile of shares in a row. 1 share, 4 shares. And I'm not talking 400 shares. I'm talking literally 4 shares of a $4 stock. 1 share of a $4 stock. So you're talking about a $4.58 trade. Like, who is, and then that's what you ask yourself, who is buying a stock with 1 share? Well, there's a lot of little fun stuff that happens all the time, which we're now going to see on the consolidated tape, because the consolidated tape only showed the round lots before. It only showed 100 shares or more. Now you'll see all the little stuff happening, and somebody was estimating on a stock like Apple that as much as 70 or 80% of the trades might be in odd lots, because you have a lot of traders that might want to hide their intentions, and they could trade like 89 shares of Apple before, not hit the tape, and nobody would really know that that transaction had occurred. So there was no post-trade transparency or pre-trade transparency, no transparency really at all to the other participants with odd lots. So now that stuff is on the tape, so you're going to see all this funny little stuff. So if you didn't like the 100 share lots before, Joel, I don't know if you're going to love these 1 share, 2 shares, 5 shares hitting this consolidated tape.
Is that on all the exchanges? Because I just pulled up ALU here, and it looked like
Yeah.
at 8 o'clock there was a bunch of little prints that went off on the BATS exchange. Is BATS going to be specializing in the sub 100 share prints?
No, it should be on every. It's supposed to be across all of the exchanges. So maybe it's just some computer program that just decided to pick on bats and trade a whole bunch of small little trades. Because a lot of firms aren't on ticket charges either. A ticket charge is a minimum price per trade. Like in your retail, you say $6.95 a trade, $5.95 a trade. Most prop firms, and our prop firm's the same. At Bright Trading, we're not paying ticket charges. We're paying per share. So if you buy 1 share of something, it's just calculated that per cent rate or whatever that you pay. So it's altogether a different game, really, there. So at retail firms, even though you've got the, and that's just the different style of it. So basically, you can have these high frequency firms that aren't on ticket charges, just basically buying shares, 4 shares, 7 shares, 8 shares, and a lot of times they do what you call is pinging. They'll ping different exchanges, looking for liquidity, trying to find it out. So they're basically trying to gather information by using 1 shares, 3 shares. Remember, we used to do that too. With 100 shares, you'd go, well, you get a feel for the tape by transacting 100 shares. Well, they can get that feel for the tape just by transacting as little as 1 or 2 or 3 shares. So it's the same story. They're trying to get a feel for the tape. And the bots are feeling the tape out too and
Well,
find hidden liquidity.
I mean, I could see this in higher price stocks. Obviously, people, to buy a $560 or $1,000 stock or whatever, they have to go in small increments. I see the Apple tape here, 56, 52 shares. I mean, that still represents a decent amount of money.
Yeah,
But
yes, it does.
why are they adding this to the tape now, you think?
I think there's just been complaints that there's not enough transparency. Stocks like Apple, because like you say, a 99 share print of Apple is definitely significant. A 10 share, that's a $5,000 investment in a stock like Apple with 10 shares. So, and you get 99 shares. That's almost a 50 or over a $50,000 investment. So that is significant information that participants are not seeing. Now, you get in a stock like ALU that's a $4 stock, then it's not nearly as important information. But I think people were just complaining that the transparency isn't there. They want to see all the trades going by on the tape. And this has been something they've talked about for years. Finally, SEC gets involved, looks at it, exchanges talk it through, and they set a rule. And they've got a report starting today. They've got to start reporting all lots to the tape.
Do you think? I mean, is that going to be a factor at all in your tape reading today? Or are you just gonna ignore those little things unless it's a high price stock? Or are you gonna look for some kind of patterns in it?
There'll probably be ways. It depends. I'll probably look at it for a while and decide if it's relevant information to me in my own personal trading. I'm sure there's probably going to be ways in your different software to filter it out too. Because if I'm looking at a tape and it's just littered with 2, 3, 5 shares, and I can't even make heads or tails, or it's just wasting my time reading that stuff, hopefully there'll be a way on some of this software to filter out and only show me the round lot, show me the 100 share trades and above. So if I find it's relevant information, though, like on Apple, maybe it is relevant information. So it's going to be a learning experience here. We've never seen this information before, and whenever you get new information like this, sometimes you can find trading strategies from it as well. So I'm interested. I'm very interested to see these odd lots here. And obviously, look at your consolidated tape. That's your trades going by. Ask your brokerage house. Make sure that they have that information for you because it's important information. And maybe you can find some cool strategies off of it too, just from getting that odd lot information. So let's move on to the markets here. We obviously talked about the S&P futures being up 1.75 points here. We do have crude here, Joel, just kind of hanging out. We're only down 3 cents. We've had a pretty decent rally here over the course of the last week, kind of hanging out up here at 97.62. Do you think this is like pausing here the last couple or last day or so, getting ready for this next leg up to the $100 area?
You did get some nice movement here. Really starting to bunch here up at the $98 level. You like to see these kind of technical formations, especially on a high, crude, which is an active contract. But let's just take a look at the end of last week. You stalled at 97.99 and then 98.07 on Thursday and Friday. You've hit 97.97 so far in today's trading. After a big run up, now you're just kind of bunching up with tight ranges at a key level here. So I'm looking at 98 to hold here, and perhaps I trace a little bit of this move. I mean, we did come off 91.77. So crude has quietly added 6 points here since November 27th. You take half of that. I mean, you could obviously get a pullback down to the 95 level to validate this, as well as the resistance has been defined on the upside at the $98 level. You're getting a similar technical formation on the downside. Thursday's low 97.01. Friday's low 97.08 here. So play the range here. TradeTheRange.com and crude 97.98. I'd be more apt to short just staying going through 97 with some momentum than I would be buying a breakout over 98.
What about gold futures? They're kind of bunching up here the last few days too, finding some support down here in the 1220 area. We're up at 1232 right now. What do you see in store for gold?
Gold has popped up a few times. I'm still using that 1250 level. I got a couple pops last week, 1243.20, 1245, but gets beat back down like a redheaded stepchild every time it gets up here near that 1250 level. So I'm using that as a breakout. I almost called you over the weekend because in Barron's they were talking about stocks that have a potential to grow, and they mentioned your favorite stock here, American Barracks.
They mentioned Barrick, and it's trading up a little bit here. We're actually up 19 cents here on Barrick this morning, so I guess that Barron's pop is helping Barrick because gold's only up a buck or two. Usually that doesn't even move stock like Barrick. So Barrick is trading up. Looks like it is getting a little pop off that Barron's.
Yeah, it finding major support here at the 1530 level. You've had four lows between 26. So if you're looking for a swing trade, they just thought that they got rid of the CEO, they got a new CEO incoming there, and they think that now when everyone ramped up production at 1800, now they're all cutting back on production. They think that Barracks may be able to to cut back their operations. They cut down a couple mines a little bit quicker. Also, Dennis Gartman made his usual call. Gold's gonna rally. He just doesn't know when. So if you're using that as an indicator, it's not going to help you out. I mean, you do have some good support coming in here. Sorry, my charts here are locking up a little bit. You do get some excellent support at the 1210 area. Multiples last week between 1210 and 1216. So if you're looking for a swing trade here, looking to risk $20 down to that low, there certainly could be a rebound. Of course, you always got to be aware of the shakeout, like when Tesla went down through that 119 level, took everybody out, and then
116.
116, and then it was
reversed.
it was lights out after that.
That's what often happens is they will take it through some key. If somebody's really leaning on support, it's a heavy support area. Often they will just take it out. The breakdown becomes a fake down. Everybody gets out and it moves the other way, actually. So sometimes it's almost better to buy those breakdowns when they've been on support for that long. Just looking at that Barrick chart, the only thing you got to think from a fundamental perspective on all these, and we're going to say it again here, we say it on the show every once in a while, is the cost of production of the majority of these companies depends on which company it is, but it's come up so much over the last few years because they have gone into other exploration areas where it's probably more costly to do. When gold was up at $1,900, made a lot of sense maybe to mine some of these other areas. Now with gold down at 1230, a lot of these other areas don't make sense anymore, and the cost of production has climbed dramatically for most of these companies, and a lot of it is upwards of $1,100 an ounce. What that means is if gold falls another $130, and we've watched it fall off from 1900 just a few years ago down to 1230 now, if it was to fall another $100, a lot of these companies are going to struggle to make money, and that's probably why they have to start looking at cutting their cost of production back in order just to be careful in case gold actually does continue to fall here. So that's the concern here is if gold was to ever get down under $1,000 or under 1,100, a lot of these companies are going to struggle to make any money at all.
Right. Well, you just have to wait. I mean, if you try, you've talked a lot about, buying things on, on strength and, making new highs and no pain, because when things are making new highs, there's no sellers from people where they've, been before to liquidate positions. Well, that's certainly not the case here with gold.
Got Cisco getting bought out. Is that right there, Brent? You got that news on Cisco SYY? Not Cisco CSCO,
yeah,
but
SYY,
whoa. The food company here. Looks like an $8.2 billion agreement to get bought, it looks, by like U.S. Foods. Brent, you got
wow. That? Getting a huge pop here. Let's just take a look at that. That's a big buyout. And you know what? This kind of goes with your Warren Buffett, theme that, what was that, about a year ago? He bought out Heinz. Remember that?
Yeah.
Did a transition, and now looks like it's spilling over into the food sector as well here. I'm not seeing a price on that buyout. I just look at the initial spike here in Cisco Foods going up to $41.85.
Cisco isn't getting bought out. Cisco is buying out U.S. Foods.
Is that what's happening here? Okay.
Yeah. So I see.
Thanks for correcting that. I just saw the headline. Cisco U.S. Foods agreed to merge. Okay, so Cisco's not getting bought. They are buying U.S. Foods. Is U.S. Foods, that's a private company?
Yeah, that's private. That's not public. I see the deal valued at $3.5 billion. It says enterprise value over $8 billion.
Gotcha. Wow, what a pop here for
Yep.
this. So I guess they must have thought this was real good for Cisco here. Because this, when you see a company jump as much as this is jumping, you automatically assume they're getting acquired or something. Yeah, reading the headlines, they're just acquiring. So it's a huge deal to buy the private U.S. foods. And stock is getting an awesome lift here on the pre-market off this. Wow. I wonder if that's going to lift some of these other food stocks, Joel. I know Dean Foods, I was looking at that this morning, is actually downgraded over at Morgan Stanley, so that's going to put down pressure on that. Look at the chart of DF here right now, though.
Yeah, I'm having a little problems with my charts here. I'm trying to get this system here restarted. Taking a look at Dean Foods, you said they were downgraded.
Yeah, Dean Foods is downgraded at Morgan Stanley, and it's not having any impact here so far. It's actually offered down at 1833 because of the downgrade. But I'm looking at support here on the DF. Multiple lows 1, 2, 3, 4, 1771 4 days ago, 1787 3 days ago, 1788 2 days ago, and 1791 just on Friday. So basically, last week the stock bottomed out multiple times in the 1787 area. So, and if you think about a downgrade here, probably going to knock 30-40 cents off the price. That'll open it right into that support.
Yeah, I don't see this having a lot of follow through here.
I don't.
Obviously, you had this big gap down day back in November, and it's kind of recovered from that. I don't know if you could call those two lows like a V bottom there or not. It took another day. You made the double bottom at 1771 and have rebounded. So, once again, if you're looking for a lower risk trade here, looking at that $18 level,
It's huge, yeah.
yeah,
18 bucks is huge.
yep, we'll have to keep an eye on that today.
Yeah, having a little trouble with my chart too. I was actually looking at a weekly. I didn't even realize it there. I was having trouble with my own charting software there. So, but there's lots of support down there in that 18 area. So those were the lows of the week. So that's what I was quoting there actually. But regardless, $18, 17.90, that whole area, major support for Dean Foods. Tyson Foods, TSN. Might as well just talk about this one. This has just been absolutely on a tear. $28 stock about 15 trading sessions ago. It's now a $34 stock, or almost a $34 stock, trading 33.82 and closing there on Friday. What a run for Tyson Foods.
Right. Looking back, I mean, could be all-time highs in the issue. We were talking, I believe, with Chris, and when a company delivers good earnings, and that was, I believe, that was around the $30 level. It had that pop, and it just sat there for like a day or two, and kind of gave you a chance to get in after good earnings numbers, and then it's taken off. We'll be looking at 33.98. That was Friday's high as the only resistance point. I believe that's an all-time high for Tyson's Foods.
Yeah, the post-earnings drift he was talking about, and wow. And we had that a big run up, then you had the consolidation period. I know technical guys like to look, we went 28 to 32 in about 4 trading sessions, paused for 4 or 5 days, then broke out over 32. And a lot of times somebody will say after it has the pause, it'll have an equivalent move to what it had prior to that. If that is the case, there'd be another $2 in Tyson's here yet, but I don't know if I'd chase it this far. It seems a little bit overextended for a lower beta stock. Let's move on to some of the Big Ten here, starting with Apple. Pricing action here, just bring up my chart. 561, it was pulling back there. Everything was up on Friday. Apple was not participating. After announcing the China Mobile deal on Thursday, kind of pulled back that day, which made us a little bit nervous. And then Friday had another pullback day there again. Is this just a pause here after the whole big recent run up? What are you thinking on the technicals, Joel?
That was trading week in the pre-market too on Friday.
Was.
Yeah, who are we talking to? I believe we had got a question out of one of our traders. Options Trade was asking about any news in the pre-market on Apple because it just was not reacting. It sold off hard after hitting that 575 level earlier in the week. I guess 559.52 was Friday's low. You had to close right there at 560. So I look for this thing. You're getting a pop in the pre-market. I'd like to just see it hold that whole 560 level here and perhaps drift up into the higher 560s, 566.75 was Friday's high. If in fact we do take out Friday's low, not a lot of support in the 550 handle. 557.68 was your low, your 4-day low. After that, it opens up to the 550s. So let's keep an eye on that.
I'm looking. Joe was just asking about Gilead, their GILD. What's happening with that? It's popping up $2.63. Lots of news here over the weekend. Breaking on Friday. Looks like just a report from Bloomberg. They were reporting that the FDA. They looks like Gilead got FDA approval for Sofosbuvir. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Maybe Shaky Jakey knows how to say it better. But Sofosbuvir, whatever drug they get an FDA approval for. And then on Saturday, actually, from the Benzinga Pro, just reading it here, Gilead reports positive data from interim phase 2 results for GS9973 in previously treated chronic lymphocytic leukemia. So multiple reports here, looks like, from Gilead, which are all good. GILD trading up another $2.63. This does put it, I believe, to all-time highs here as well.
Right, and I just saw something pop on the wires that they got approval for $1,000 a drug day for hepatitis C. I mean, what insurance company is going to be covering that, Joe? I mean, $1,000 a day. I mean, how many days do you have to take it before you're bankrupt?
Well, I mean, if that was a question directed at me, I don't personally have Hep C, but
No, I did.
but $1,000 a day. I mean, isn't that fascinating enough? A lot of these infectious diseases already cost thousands of dollars a month, but now you have one that's going to cost $30,000 a month. I mean, that's completely unheard of, isn't it?
What is that going to do to Obamacare?
I have no idea.
Wow. Well, let's just take a look here. The stock is hitting new all-time highs here in the session. Looking at the pre-market high here, we got over $77. Got to 77.75 and got a little bit of a pullback off that. So if you're looking at the pre-market high, that's really the only number you had to keep an eye on in that issue.
If you like to subscribe to the theory, old support can become, or old resistance can become new support. You had multiple highs up there just above $75 in the 75.20, 75.30 area. If we do indeed open up at 76 or 77 bucks here, and we've traded 133,000 shares this morning, so we've traded a ton of stock. We do indeed open above that area. That area might act as some support now. So call that whole area 75. So if we were to pull back maybe $1.90 from where we're at, maybe take a shot. I don't know if you like to buy the breakouts here and think there's not going to be a fake out. Maybe get some support coming in there.
So you're not up buying it up $3 on the day.
I'm not buying it here now. It's hard, and we're all opportunistic traders over here, and I just don't know. It's hard to read news, and you saw what happened in Apple with the China Mobile deal finally being announced, obviously.
Good call.
And that pulled back off of the news. Sometimes you get these buy and rumor sell news. Now, I don't think this is one of those, but you always have to be prepared for that. That's why when something has big news and is trading big up in the pre-market, I at least want to see what it does after 9:30, because the real money comes in right after the open there at 9:30. You'll see real buyers come in and real sellers come in, and that first 20 minutes of the real trading day can sometimes dictate whether they're going to actually pull this stock back or they're going to continue to break the stock out. It's so critical to watch that first 10 or 15 minutes of trading action. And if you're unsure, sit back and take that information in. We did that, obviously, that webinar last week on information arbitrage, and that is important information, the trading action that's coming after a big news announcement. So I sit back, maybe analyze it, analyze the tape, look at your levels, because levels still come into play. A lot of technical traders out there, and then make a more informed call. But just coming in blind, saying, "Oh, that's good news, that's going to pop the stock." Well, everybody else is obviously saying that same thing too. 137,000 shares have already made that opinion, so a little bit difficult. That's why I look at different setups when we look at, use that information to your advantage. And if you're just kind of unsure or not 100% sure, don't make a trade. You don't have to swing at every, ball that's thrown at you.
This is not one you got stored away in your portfolio?
I don't have Gilead. I wish I had Gilead. This is one I kind of kick myself for because I have a ton of pharmaceutical and biotech stocks in my own investment portfolio. I got Celgene, I got Biogen. I got called away years ago on DNA, which was Genentech. I wish I would have never got, or I didn't get called away. It got bought out. So I wish that one wouldn't have been bought out. But I had Elon for a bit, and that is getting bought out by Perdigo. So I don't know. I've still got quite a few biotech. It's probably my heaviest sector. I wish I had Gilead, though. I do not have Gilead.
Yeah, nice run here. You're right. The former highs were right around that $75 level. 75.43 was the former all-time high. You made a lot of highs in that area before finally breaking through on this good fundamental information. So probably have a lot of people stuck short this thing, looking for it to come back to that $75 level.
J.C. Penney.
Wow.
Wow, that's all we have to say is wow. And I am now really upset at myself here for my little 25-cent scalp that I had afterwards. When I shorted basically the high 3 days ago, 9.96, it only ever got up to $10, and wow, the stock just tanked. Well, it didn't go down that far that day, so I only missed the low by about 15 or 20 cents. But the next day was a real killer. Fell another buck. Fell another 50 cents here today. When's this fall going to stop? I know we're up 20 cents here in the pre-market on JCPenney, or 15 cents in the pre-market. Do you think this is going to be the bounce? Actually, as I say that, it falls another nickel here, so I don't know. But $8, it did find a little bit of support there on Friday. Do you think that holds?
804 was your low on Friday, and then going back on the run up, you did have some lows right at $8 on November 8th. I mean, the thing that really sticks out in my mind of this stock, and I don't think I've seen analysts, really carry a stick as much as they did in this issue. Was it last week that they came out with
Yes.
Was it last week? Oh my gosh, it seems like it was longer ago than
They
that.
had the good same store sales, and then Deutsche Bank, I think, and Wells both said they weren't biting on those good same store sales, and the stock was trading up huge in the pre-market. They came out, those analysts, breaking those, saying that they didn't really care for the same store sales reports that were kind of challenging, whether they were going to be able to continue that growth there, and the stock tanked and actually opened down that day. So that's a day where you had really good news, and a stock trading down on really good news is never a good thing. And that, I guess, was your signal to get the hell out. And it's fallen $2 in the next two trading sessions.
That was right. That was Wednesday, and we had
Yeah.
Anka Metcalf on, and we were talking about that if this
Yep.
was something, and she's just like, whew, under $10, you have to stay away from this thing. On that day, on the 4th, it opened up at 9.90 and then ticked $10, and then it was lights out. I'm still looking at this 8.30 level here. You have hit $8. You have exceeded the 50% retracement up from the 6.25 low up to the 10.30 high here. I think if in the next day or two here, you'd have to get this thing, get a bump up to 820, 830, get a couple closes in there, and then from a technical formation, you may be able to look at a swing trade, leading on that 6.25 low. But boy, that's pretty amazing moves. 3 days in a row, it just got killed. 996,
Yeah.
966, 885, and 808. I don't think it's going to lose another buck today.
You know what other stock is breaking down here, which started breaking down Thursday and continued a little bit on Friday, making new lows, and we haven't talked about it for a while? BlackBerry, BBRY. Stock actually finally took out that $6 support. It had bounced, kind of consolidated in the mid sixes for about 5, 6, 7 trading sessions. Well, then it came back down just last week, tested and took out $6, and now it's trying to get back up a little bit. It's at 591 here. It's been as low as 579, but this chart doesn't look that good either.
So are you loading up on the 5 weeklies? Like every time I talk to you, you're like, oh, I'm loading
No.
up on the 7 weeklies, and then
I
they
know.
expire.
I should go out to the monthlies or something, because I end up going the weeklies. I have Joelitis on that thing where I go too short with the puts. I was doing on JCPenney too, and then they'd pin it right at my strike price and be like, I just watched the premium erode there. So I don't know if I'm going to play this one. I imagine if you're on the 5 weeklies, I imagine they're almost worthless. So if you're probably like a penny or two. So you could really have a lottery ticket if you're playing it that far out. I believe the BlackBerry goes in 50-cent increments. I think there's 550s there too, but I don't know. The thing usually has about a 10-cent range here. So even despite looking terrible on the chart here, I'm not sure if it can fall 40 cents this week or not. And obviously you always have that, worry there if you're just shorting the stock that, fundamental news could happen, or there could be a rumor that somebody's going to buy this thing or something. That's always a scary thing too. And so if this thing gets back up over 6, I'd get concerned if I'm short the thing, obviously. So I don't know. It's a $5 stock. I heard a short $5 stock.
Well, we'll just have to wait. I mean, the news does move that thing, but the thing is, there's been no news on it. I mean,
Nope.
remember when I had that offer on the table at $9, and the thing couldn't even sniff.
Fairfax.
Yeah, from Fairfax, and it couldn't even sniff the $9 level, and it's kind of been lights out after that. So we'll see. We'll keep it on the books here, but 580 was Friday's low.
Few upgrades and downgrades of interest here. Let's start with AEO, which actually announced earnings there last week. American Eagle had an absolutely murderous Friday. So we had heard from Aeropostale earlier in the week, and their earnings were bad. So here comes, American Eagle Outfitters, similar company, and they can announce bad earnings, and the market just, I guess it was unexpected because it fell like 10% on Friday, even though you knew that the ARO earnings were bad. AEO came out bad as well, so took the market by surprise for whatever reason, and the stock traded down on that to 1465, close to 1485. Morgan, I believe it's just trying to see. No, it's B. Riley and Company coming out this morning. They are upgrading the stock here, so it is actually trading up 15 cents here in the pre-market at $15. What's your thoughts here?
Two things. One was we were watching this on the pre-market, and I think that Brent broke in that the CEO said that 2014 was going to be challenging, and we were watching the stock creep up, and it actually was trading around 16 at the time. And it was bad news. The CEO was saying bad things. It was just kind of creeping up in the pre-market. Actually, got it well into well into Thursday's range. 1583 was the low and 1640 was the close. That bad news, I guess people took it to heart when the regular session opened at 1596 and didn't spend much time in the 16 handle. Cut through the 15 like a hot knife through butter. I think what this analyst is looking at here and banking on is the 1460 low that you had on November 6th to hold, and as well as the low at 1450 or 1445. So I don't know if he's basing it on anything they're doing in the stores. He might be looking at the charts here and thinking, boy, little bit overdone here, looking for the 1450 level to hold. But the problem with that, if it takes out 1450, you could be right at $14. And we saw the 3-day move that J.C. Penney had, so I don't know. Buyer beware. Trading up 16 cents in the pre-market. Let's keep an eye. Pre-market high on this upgrade over the $15 level. And very few spotty trades here. Just traded up
It's all
to
air everywhere.
1505. Maybe this upgrade just might be a chance if you took it home on a weak close to get a few shekels out of it.
Yeah, and I think even though it's all air up there, I still think you're going to have a lot of people that are nervous. There was a lot of consolidation in the high 15s, mid 16s, basically for the better part of November. We consolidated up there. So there's a lot of people sitting underwater on this. People that are maybe gambling on the earnings report and gambled the wrong way. So this thing gets anywhere up into the mid 15s, upper 15s. I got to think there's going to be some sellers that come in, trying to take some money off the table here. Also, from the analyst, Kraft, KRFT, getting upgraded at Morgan Stanley here this morning. So here's another food stock moving higher. Cisco, holy cow, I just looked at it. It's up $12 now, SYY. Just 46.38 it just ticked up to. So it's climbed another $5 since we mentioned it 15 minutes ago. But Kraft here trading up, Joel. It's up $1 on this Morgan Stanley upgrade at 54.5.
Boy, Cisco's really up that much, huh? They must think that merger is going to be
That's unbelievable. Yeah, that's an unbelievable move. Holy cow, it's like a windfall. 1.3 million shares have traded now here on SYY. This has got to be all-time highs for this stock. I'm going back to my monthlies. I don't see anything there. So, yeah, blowing through, obviously. You can't even trade this technically. This is pure on fundamental news. I'd let the dust settle on this thing. I think it's overdone. But I thought it was maybe overdone at 41 or 42. It's at 46 now, so that's why you got to sit back and wait for more information because things can even get more overdone. And holy cow, they're loving that Cisco.
54.59 is what that Kraft has just hit here in the pre-market. Probably riding the heels of that Cisco deal. Let's take a look at where this stock is trading at. Do you like any of the Kraft foods? Do you do any of that stuff? What do they make? They make
They make a lot of things, Kraft. They make a holy cow. They make a lot of things. But I always buy the Kraft singles. That's usually what I buy. So yeah, I buy some Kraft foods for sure. Grilled cheese. The Kraft cheese is the best.
May run into some resistance. 55.03 was your high on November 4th. You also had a high above the $55 level at 55.13. Haven't quite hit that in the pre-market. Nice round number. You might find some sellers there at the $55 level.
You get a pullback too. We've traded up to 54.5, closed at 53.5. Looking just at this whole $54 level, we got up there on the 18th at 53.94, and a couple couple times before we topped out there. I just got a feeling if we pull back to the lower 54s, you might get some bottom pickers coming in trying to pick a bottom on this. So that could be an interesting level if you're looking to, buy this, breakout here on this stock. If you get a 50-cent pullback here, might get some interest. On Kraft, Mickey D's November comparable sales rise 0.5%. That just broke a few minutes ago. Stock is trading down on this report. Closed at 96.80, is now trading at 96.15. Had a big move up on Friday, giving it all back right here on the Monday morning pre-market.
Not a participator this year, really, at all. It was a star performer in 12, kind of a laggard this year. Looking at the pre-market chart, we are finding some nice support just above 96, 96.10, 96.14, trading down 65 cents. Looking at the dailies here, not a lot of support in this area. You did have a major low at 95.20. That's still a buck away from here. But the stock, I mean, how do they interpret all those all those metrics and stuff? I mean, is it that easy to interpret?
I don't know. Well, you can go what you expected. So if you're just breaking it down, McDonald's U.S. sales from the Benzinga Pro dropped 0.8% in the month versus a 2.5% gain in the year-ago period. So if you're comparing it year over year, this isn't as good. So they may be looking at that. Fast food chain sales in Europe rose 1.9% versus a 1.4% gain in the year earlier period. So in Europe, they were doing a little bit better, but overall a little bit worse than a year ago. So I think they're just looking year over year more than anything, and that's why they're knocking the stock down 80 cents here in the pre-market.
Did anyone come out with other statistics or not? Is that
No, just McDonald's I see breaking so far. I don't see. And often, you remember on the Thursday, you just get same-store sales Thursday. It seems like they come out all over the place now. You get out the odd day that reports. So McDonald's is showing their November comps this morning here. So I haven't seen anybody else go by. I don't know if Brent saw anybody else go by, but all I've seen is McDonald's.
Only seeing McDonald's today, but versus analyst estimates, U.S. was supposed to be up 0.3%, and the reading was for down almost percent. So I think that you're right, Dennis. I think that they're really kind of looking at that U.S.
That's a
number.
factor there
Yep.
too. Yeah. So
Definitely.
it's a disappointing. It looks like a disappointing report from
And
McDonald's. Press don't lie.
the stock was up like 1.5% on Friday, so it could just be a bit of profit taking this morning on that news item.
Also, over the weekend in Barron's, they discussed just a lot of stocks. I was noticing they were just like really super ultra bullish, but what they were a little bit bearish on was these 3D printing stocks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and maybe the arena's getting a little bit crowded. Once again, stocks trading at outrageous multiples and stuff. So let's just take a couple look at these high flyers here.
SSYS, which you always get wrong.
Yeah, no, let's see if I can get that one right. SSYS. Let's see if it's having an effect here on these stocks.
Not really. Bid 117.20 right now, so it's actually bid up 20 cents from the close. Best offer is up at 118.25. I just looked at Triple D, and it's actually trading up 60 cents or 70 cents here too. So if they did get mentioned negatively in Barron's, it's not really affecting the stocks too much here yet in the pre-market.
Had a big decline off sprinting off that 130 level, made a high of 134 and came crashing down under the 110 level. Actually came down to 108. Now it looks like it's just trying to regain some footing here, just about mid-range. I guess if you're looking at this from a swing trade perspective, a couple lows at 114.38. 115.80. I mean, this thing is a pretty volatile thing. Just look at this eyeball on the chart here, though. I think it's still good to go. This 115, I'd be a little worried about if it gets under 115. Not a lot down there. You did have that spike low at 108. The other one, your initials,
Triple D.
Yep. That one, same. Boy, these things really move together, huh? Look at you pull up that chart, and it's almost it's most identical. Maybe we'll have to get Rob Friesens on here for some possible pair trading here. Here you get good support developing at the 74.40 level. Friday's low, 74.86 was a low that you had from last week. So we'll be keeping an eye on that area. Coming back on the upside, we are trading up in the pre-market.
90 cents now.
Yeah, we did get, we're just trading right at the high here at 76.28 in the pre-market. But if you take a look at the daily charts here, have a series of three higher lows, not a good pattern. If it's poised to break that today above the 77.13 level, you are a buck away from that. But use that as resistance. If it gets above there, perhaps sneak into the 78 handle.
If you're looking at that 77.13 level, you first got to contend with the seller at 77 bucks. I see somebody on the book, I don't know if he's real or not, but somebody in the New York book offering 32,000 shares up at 77. So that's going to be made. That's pretty big size for this stock. You know, it usually trades 100, 200, 300 share lots. So a 30,000 share order is significant. So if that does stick around, you can expect to find probably some initial resistance in the upper 76s as those opportunistic guys and those high freaks lean on that 77.
Don't they want to break it up into like a bunch of 27 lots? Wouldn't it be easier?
Yeah, I know you can do. You can break them up in a and they made the high freaks were always breaking them up, but maybe it's not as good now when you're breaking up into the odd lots because everybody's going to see it. Before you could break those algo orders up into the odd lots and nobody can see what you're doing. Now they can see them with the odd lots hitting the tape today. So well, I'll have to see here. Let's move on to some of the other ones here that were upgraded and downgraded. I got Valero, VLO, getting upgraded at JP Morgan here today. Energy company breaking out, trying to make new highs here in the pre-market. It's been on a tear. It's bottomed out in mid-October, just about a month and a half ago at $33. Now it's trading up at 47.5, which does put it to a new 52-week high.
Pre-market. Let's see.
Actually, I got to check that, Joel. It's not a new 52-week high. I was looking at a 6-month chart. I just went out earlier in the year. We were up here, so it's a new 6-month high.
47.55. Just hit that in the pre-market. Have only backed off a nickel. You did have some former resistance on the daily charts here. At the 47.20. Actually, you had multiple highs, 47.20, 47.24, 47.26. We are breaking above that. Now that will act as support here. If you get a pullback, looking longer term, I'm going to go a little bit farther out here. The stock going back, if you take a look at the weeklies, it's not really uncharted waters here yet. You did have a high back in April of this year, or excuse me, in March of this year at 48.97. So we're only a $1.50 away from that critical level.
A lot of stocks in the Big Ten had really big moves, obviously, with the S&P futures up so much on Friday. But even some of the more defensive stocks, sometimes you see some rotation. It was kind of a rally across the board. And we were talking just a couple days ago saying, the sell-off is real when you start getting a sell-off across the board. Well, the rally was real because it was a rally across the board on Friday. There, besides Apple, most of your Big Ten were trading a lot higher. Look at Procter & Gamble, the move that it had on Friday, basically rallied over $1. Closed up near the highs at 84.52. And here's a stock that just a couple trading sessions ago was starting to look weak. And in just one move, all of a sudden, it's getting back a lot of the losses from the previous week and starting to approach up there at resistance and at the highs of the year.
Right, and this was one where a thick stock. You hit a high here at 84.53 on Friday's trading, and then if you go back on the daily charts here, and you can look, it got up to this area. It got up to 84.89 back on the 27th here, but this would be one that it's trading up in the pre-market, had a huge move. I either look for this thing just to open, hold this 84.45, 84.50 level take off north, or else if you hit that level and you can't get a lot of follow through, you got a lot of air on the downside. Maybe if you're looking for a swing trade here, maybe take it back down to the $84 level. But same thing with Johnson and Johnson. When these stocks, I mean, you have the close and the high at the same number, and
Yeah.
it just adds significance to that level. Johnson and Johnson also last week had a couple tops at 94.56 and 94.66. So trading down here a little bit in the pre-market, but I think with the spoos trading up 3, you're going to get a little shot at those highs. So 94.50, I don't know, you got a seller kicking around at 94.50 or a little bit too earlier to tell?
Nothing 94.50, but I do have a seller up at 95, and these are big hole numbers that these two stocks are approaching that we just talked about. Procter and Gamble, looking at that number at $85, I see 58,000 shares up there, so somebody's sniffing around that wants to unload a piece at 85, and then J&J, $95, 34,000 shares up there in the New York Bucks. So there's two areas. If you get a little bit more of a follow-through rally, upper 94.90s for J&J, and Procter & Gamble probably 84.80s, 84.90s, it'll probably start thickening up ahead of those sellers.
Okay, and just some other issues in the Big Ten. Wells Fargo caught a bid on Friday. The financials came back to life. We don't talk about this issue a lot, but a buck move in Wells Fargo is a huge move.
Yeah, it was a big move for Wells Fargo there, getting on, and actually it was a pretty volatile session for the financials too. I looked at them off the hop; they all opened up like significantly. We're talking they all opened up 60, 70, or a couple of percent with the market opening higher. And then the funny thing was, about 15, 20 minutes, there was a huge shakeout, and a lot of these financials, Goldman Sachs actually went in the red. I believe J.P. Morgan. I'm just looking at the chart. Yeah, J.P. Morgan actually went red. Wells Fargo tried to fill the entire gap too, and went close to unchanged, but then they caught a bid just shortly after that and started rallying all day. So they did give you a shot if you were, quick on the buy button there. About 20 minutes after the open, a lot of these stocks did pull back, give you a shot, and then they just took off.
If the rally continues in Wells Fargo, I'd like to alert our traders to a real good level here. Before the decline down to 43.21, you had multiple highs between 44.47 and 44.51. So someone targeting that whole 44.50 area. So only 30 cents away from there. So we'll keep an eye on that as resistance. And then you have the high of the recent move, another double top, 44.72 to 44.74. That was back at the end of November. So after sprinting, having that big day on Friday here, it's gonna have some size to cut through at those levels.
Couple other ones I just want to highlight is ExxonMobil. This $96 level, we talked about this being absolutely enormous for the stock. About 3 weeks ago when it was coming up here, we had talked how ExxonMobil back in 07, 08 struggled and struggled and struggled at this $96 level. Got up there for the first time in basically 4 years there just 2 weeks ago. Didn't get through there. Started pulling back. We are back up here right now at this ExxonMobil critical $96 level. I see 147,000 shares in the book at 96. That will act as initial resistance for sure. Takes that out, it could be interesting. And I mean, here's the setup. So it's been up here once, up here twice, up here 3 times. Eventually, it might start to run through this area. But I think off the hop, 96 is still huge.
You sound like a little Lionel Richie there. Once,
Lionel
twice,
Richie.
yeah, once, twice, 3 times a breakout or something like that. 96.12, all-time high in the issue. Buyer ahead of or sellers ahead of that at the $96 level. What just like to point out about this one, and we talked about it for a while. Was you had the Buffett boost. We know disclosure on his 13F, and then you got that first run up to the $96 level, and then it came all the way back down. And that's why it's good if you could be patient in these stocks. To wait for stocks to come back. To the areas. Gaps don't always work. Believe me, I've been stuck waiting for gaps to fill on a lot of things. But pulling back, it came back and It filled that area, got under 93, and it resumed its upward momentum. So getting a running start at that $96 level.
We're gonna have obviously our guest here on at 9 o'clock. Did Joe want to go to the headlines here now, Joel, or what's your plan of attack
Actually,
here?
we had another scheduling mishap with Gordon. He's going to be coming
Uh-oh.
on Friday due to some tech issues on his end. So we have
Okay, well, no problem. So we can keep going here. We keep going
we
technical
can keep
analysis here
going, keep going.
on the Big Ten for you. We just talked about Exxon. Might as well talk about Chevron because obviously a lot of people trade those two stocks together, despite those charts not looking like each other anymore. They used to track really closely with each other, but I'm just putting the Exxon Mobil chart on top of the Chevron chart. And here's Exxon Mobil near all-time highs, and Chevron still significantly off its all-time highs.
Yeah, just what I've noticed in this lately is it's just been really quiet, tight ranges. Nothing crazy. Didn't even have a buck range on Friday. 122.36 was the high. I think what's more significant in this is if it can continue into rally mode. Multiple highs between 122.83 and 123.06. So someone targeting this $123 level. So I'll use that as major resistance in the Chevron. Probably a little far away to determine if there's any size at that area, but that's your major resistance. Coming back on the downside, we're only trading down a few pennies here. I'd only call that 121.65 level that was Friday's low as minor support.
Let's look at Facebook here. The stock had an interesting Friday session where it looked like off the bat it was going to run and it was going to go with the overall market. It gapped up open, got over $49, got up like 49.30, and then just the bottom fell out and the stock fell a buck and a half, really in the matter of an hour or hour and a half. Got down all the way 47.70, call it. Bounced back up 48.50, pulled back, closed near the lows. Now it is popping up here in the pre-market. We're up 20 cents on Facebook here, but the Friday relative strength in Facebook was not great.
No, and really recovered. I mean, that $50 level is still just huge.
It's big, yeah.
Yep, it kind of had a breakdown to the 46, then ran up to the 50, and then you just had the breakdown to 43.55. Had a lot of trouble in the 49 handle, but this is what you got to be looking at in this stock today. The two bottoms, 47.71 and 47.87. Those were the two lows that you had on Thursday and Friday. Absolutely, that support has to hold, or it's lights out down to the multiple lows in the low 46s here. I mean, I just don't think. I mean, after the run, you're going to have a lot of year-end window dressing and undressing. I mean, this is the one people are sitting on a lot of profits, a big run this year. I could just see this stock running into, more sellers and as something that, portfolio managers want to have in the books at the end of the year. To me, this is something to say, hey, I took a profit in this, look at me, as opposed to adding it as a new position.
Yeah, there's some people sitting on some gains here. There's people sitting on the gains in everything, though. So I guess you could argue that whole, theory across the board. We're sitting at all-time highs here in the market. A majority of stocks. There is obviously some companies, like you look at IBM, and it just has not participated in the entire year. It's sitting actually down here, not even that far off. It's 52-week low at 177.59. So some gains in some stuff, and not so much for Big Blue. I guess shareholders have been a little blue in IBM.
Yeah, I just was looking at the Twitter because you had me on the social media.
Oh, you want to go back to Twitter?
No,
okay.
no. Let's go to this IBM because, Mr. Buffett owns it. And if he owns it, then pretty good chance it's going up someday. I just can't figure this one out. I mean, it's been volatile. It has its big runs. I guess now you're forming support here at the 175 level. Two lows between 175.16, 175.28. So trading down a little bit in the pre-market, but if you're looking for, a possible swing trade here, if you're entering at this level, below 175, you probably would have to cut it loose. But if you're looking for, a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1, risk-reward ratio, you could get back up over the 180 180s here. You have major resistance at 180.76, but IBM just seems to be a stock that it will have its 2-3 day runs, reverse course, consolidate a bit, and then turn around. It looks like it had that real bad sell-off from 181 down to 175.28, and then slowly regaining its footing.
Yeah, and it does do that. You've got to look at the momentum. If you look at this chart, just from the last 3 months, we had the run up from the whole lower 180s up to 195, made 2-3 tops in the same area, and then reversed. Started selling off, got a little gap, then we had a gap down, then we made 2-3 bottoms in the same area and started to run up. So it does do that. And then we had 2-3 tops just above 186 just about a week and a half ago, and then it sold off. Now we're making 2-3 bottoms down the 175 area. I don't know if this is the start of a rally here Friday for IBM or not, but it's something to be aware of for sure, that it likes to put in. Some stocks like to gap and go, and some stocks like to put in, a V bottom. IBM seems to be a stock that likes to put in 3-4 bottoms in the same area, give you a good shot at, picking a bottom, and then actually continue on with the upwards moves. So keep that in mind, that we did put in 1-2 bottoms in the 175 area. Put in a third one down there, maybe we got something.
Okay, we're going to move things on now, get some morning headlines from Mighty Joe Young.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks a lot, Joel. And again, we have to reschedule Gordon Johnson due to some tech issues. So don't worry, he'll be on the show even though Joel wants to give him the boot, but it'll be fine. Today's headlines around the globe. Nokia warned not to become a patent troll by the European Union. According to a report by the Associated Press, Nokia has been warned not to become a patent troll by the European Commission after the company sold most of its cell phone making business to Microsoft, retaining its patent portfolio. Joaquin Alumnia says there is a danger Nokia will attempt to extract higher returns from its patent portfolio. The Associated Press reported consultants prefer MGM Casino over Penn National bid, according to the Washington Post. Two state contracted gambling revenue consultants told Maryland's Casino Commission that a casino proposed by MGM would generate vastly more than the other proposals made by Penn National and Greenwood Racing, according to the Washington Post. Reuters is out with a report saying that AT&T looks to avoid shareholder requests on surveillance data. The company asked the SEC to let it ignore a shareholder request for details of its customer information sharing with government agencies, a move that could forestall a heated debate in the telecommunications giant's annual meeting, Reuters reported. The WSJ saying that Facebook's news feed changes are raising some questions. Facebook announced that it would tweak the algorithm of its news feed to deliver higher quality content, raising questions about the source or type of content. The WSJ reported. Facebook's news feed manager Lars Backstrom in part says right now it's mostly oriented around the source. As we refine our approaches, we'll start distinguishing more and more between different types of content. Major tech firms are joining together to appeal for NSA reform, according to the Wall Street Journal. Google, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Twitter, Yahoo, LinkedIn, and AOL are together appealing for reform of government surveillance activities following a stream of disclosures about actions by the National Security Agency. The 8 technology companies are issuing an open letter to President Obama and members of Congress, along with a set of reform principles to better safeguard the information of Internet users. Molson, Coors, and Miller are in court today over Canadian distribution, according to the Globe and Mail. A battle between Molson Canada and Miller Brewing about who gets to sell Miller Genuine Draft in Canada heads to a courtroom in Toronto today. The two companies have been at odds most of the year over the distribution of popular beer when Miller said it wanted to cancel the agreement that allows Molson to market its products in Canada. Court rules for Qihoo in a patent suit with Baidu. Beijing court ruled in favor of Qihoo 360 in a case that brought against the company by rival Baidu, alleging intellectual property rights infringement, finding the documents in question in the suit are not copyrightable, as the Beijing News reported, and that was sourced by the Marbridge Daily. let's see what else we have here. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg denies stay in airline merger. A report out from Reuters says that Supreme Court Justice Bader on Saturday night denied a last-ditch effort by a group of consumers and travel agents to stop the merger of American Airlines and U.S. Airways, as reported by Reuters. Time Warner could delay the Time Incorporated spin-off until the second half of 2014, according to a report by 24/7 Wall Street. According to sources familiar with the company's plans, Time Warner will likely delay the spin-off of Time Incorporated until the second half of 2014. The main reason for the delay is that Time Incorporated will post poor fourth quarter results in 2013, and new management is considering several options to reverse that trend in the new year. Disney's Frozen ranked number 1 at the box office in its second weekend by grossing $31.6 million and beat Lionsgate's The Hunger Games Catching Fire, which earned $27 million, according to the Associated Press. Verizon is planning to buy CDN provider Edgecast Networks. TechCrunch is out reporting. A source says the deal, which will be worth over $350 million, will be announced in the coming days, so be on the lookout for that. The Federal Reserve is unlikely to taper this year, according to the New York Times. The Fed is in no rush to taper its bond buying program and is likely to wait until next year to cut its asset purchases. The New York Times cited statements by Fed officials and some interviews it conducted with them directly. Tiffany's to boost investment in China over the next year. The jewelry maker, plans to boost investment in China, spending more on marketing in the country than in any other market, CEO Michael Kowalski said. The company is planning to achieve sales growth of over 10% in China, according to Kowalski. Barron's has named its 10 favorite stocks for 2014. On the list over the weekend, we find Barrick Gold, Canadian Natural, Citigroup, Deere & Company, General Motors, Intel, MetLife, Nestle, Simon Property Group, U.S. Airways. And that was a note that U.S. Airways was merging with American Airlines under the symbol AAL. Fiat to invest nearly $12 billion in Italian-made vehicles, according to Bloomberg. The Italian automaker plans to spend as much as $12.3 billion on new models to end European losses in 3 years and revive nearly empty Italian factories, sources reported to Bloomberg. Quarterly results may bring 3D printing stock correction, according to Barron's. The valuations of 3D printing stocks like 3D Systems, XONE, VoxelJet, and Stratasys provide little room for error, meaning any hiccup in quarterly results could send the shares lower, Tiernan Ray of Barron's wrote over the weekend. However, until this happens, it's a rather lousy time to be short these names, Ray added.
So they're getting rid of the LCC and they're going with AAL. They're getting rid of the low-cost carrier symbol?
Mm-hmm. That's
Aw,
right.
Man.
AAL it is, and it is actually trading right now. You can't exactly check out the chart on that one, Joe, but it is trading. That was going to be my first highlight, actually.
Got it. Well,
Kind of exciting.
we can still let you have that
Okay.
one in just a few minutes here, Brent.
Sorry.
So for all you diet soda drinkers out there, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that diet soda sales are on the decline. Diet soda is the industry's weightiest problem for Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and Dr. Pepper Snapple. Store sales of zero and low calorie soda declined 6.8% in dollar terms in the 52 weeks through November 23rd, while sales of regular sodas fell 2.2%, according to Wells Fargo, which cited Nielsen scanner data. As a category, diet soda has contracted more than regular soda for 3 straight years. The biggest drag is health fears about artificial sweeteners found in diet soda, mainly aspartame, but also sucralose and acesulfame potassium. I think that's how you say it. And lastly here, the Wall Street Journal coming out saying that Teardown shows Google's Moto G sells on a thin margin. A teardown analysis of Google's new Moto G smartphone reveals that component cost for 16GB Moto G is $123, and the phone costs $199 in the U.S. without a wireless contract. Bernstein analysts estimate that Google is selling the phone at an operating profit margin of less than 5% compared to margins of 20% or more for Samsung and above 30% for Apple. Thank you, Wall Street Journal, for that. On this day in history, A Charlie Brown Christmas premiered to all the viewers out there that are Charlie Brown fans. And also on this day in 1941, China declared war against Japan, Germany, and Italy. Just a reminder that this show would not be possible without our dear friends at OptionsHouse, who are offering 150 commission-free trades if you sign up for an account by the links on this page. So up at the top or the bottom right, you can see OptionsHouse, 150 commission-free trades. Open an account and get those just because you listen to the Benzinga pre-market show. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to my friend Brent, who's going to follow up on his highlight from earlier.
Do you want to hear my theory on the soda drinks?
No, we don't want to. No,
Yes,
no,
I
no,
do.
no, 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 no.
There's too goddamn many of them. There is. I mean, there's
That's a
one,
lot.
there's this, that, and the other thing. I mean, this is what they're going to do. And I talked to Warren about it. They're going to get rid of, like, those ones and everything because
The
they're just...
Pepsi ones of
yeah,
the
and all
world.
that.
Pepsi
I mean,
One, Sprite Zero, Coke Zero, I think there is, in addition to Diet Coke. And do they even make Diet Sprite anymore?
I don't think so.
I mean, I think that's what they're just kind of cannibalizing themselves with all these different, choices or whatever. Just get the diets in there and then get rid of the others, and then sales will go
Right.
up. But just real quickly, just for our traders that are in this Coca-Cola and looking for a pop in it, there's a seller out here at the 40-50 level. He's been out here for about 4, 5, 6 days, multiple highs between 40-40 and 40-50. So a wall forming at that level, you need to get through there to have any kind of a chance in a rally. The Pepsi chart is a little bit harder to decipher here. It did have the big decline, and now it's getting back up. Really no major resistance here. 83 and a quarter was Friday's high. Closed right up there. Had a buck rally. See if you can get follow through that. But Brent, you were just going to go into your airlines talk.
I mean, it's not much of a talk. Just wanted to highlight that AAPL shares, American Airlines shares, are officially trading starting today. That OTC issue AAMRQ will no longer be trading. Hopefully anyone that was in that issue got their exchange over to AAL shares. And I did see AAL shares start trading, let's see, around 8:35 a.m. I believe they opened over $24. Last trade I'm seeing in AAL is 23.70. And it looks like there is a decent amount of volume in that issue today.
I also read over the weekend that I guess this AAMRQ, and Jake did a nice piece on that. I mean, that went bankrupt and then went to 11.50. And I kind of find this hard to believe that a large fund holder did not realize that he was going to, the transition of the stock,
What? Really?
You got to clear it, right, for 3 days.
Yeah.
So he had a big position in the AAMRQ, and he thought, okay, I could just trade this thing on Monday.
Whoops.
And
Whoopsie daisy.
And he couldn't because
Nope.
of the clearing.
Right.
And so I can't bring up the chart here, but I guess this AAMRQ took a huge dive on Friday. Shedded a couple bucks because he was just wiggling out of his position, and I don't know. I mean, if that's what traders say. I don't know if they're just trying to make fun of somebody or what. But we'll have to see. We'll have to follow this new issue once it starts trading today. I mean, also Barron was talking. I mean, these airlines have been some of your top performing sectors. For the year, Delta Airlines has had a nice run. We can go a little bit longer term here. Look at the move that's had. LCC, which I don't even know if they're going to bring that symbol up anymore. That's had a nice run up here. It looks like it went off the board at 22.75 here, and now you're trading at the pre-market 23.71. But we'll have to see. We'll have to wait for all that to shake out.
Yeah, if any of these other airlines are a proxy for how AAL is going to do today, it looks like I'm pretty mixed today, but I do see Delta trading higher. LCC, you said, was trading a little bit higher. A couple of the other ones, JBlue, a little bit higher right now. I don't know. It'll be interesting to kind of broaden the good old airline sector.
Okay, Joe had mentioned, Barron's at this time of the year, comes out with its hot stocks and his top 10 choices. And actually, they showed their performance from last year. I think if you would have bought just about any 10 stocks, you're doing pretty well, except for BlackBerry. But mentioned the ABX is a possible turnaround candidate here as long as gold stays above $1,000 an ounce. We looked at the chart on that, and that thing's just been skimming along the bottom at the 15 and a quarter level. Multiple lows at that area. Now we're getting a little bounce. Can't say I'd run out and buy this thing, but you do have the lows of the move here. 1526, 1535, trading up in the pre-market. So looking for a little bit of a swing trade here. At least you have an identifiable area of which you could base a stop on. Another stock that was mentioned in this stock has just been a laggard the entire year. Deere, DE, John Deere is a potential candidate. Stock has been dormant this year, trading. Not sure if farmers are out there buying a lot of equipment. I know I haven't bought a new lawnmower in a while, but you're just getting a basing pattern in this stock, and it looks like it's just traded 80 85 80 85 for the longest time here, and now you're breaking above the $85 level here. So had a real nice move. I'm not sure if that was earnings related or not, but you had a huge range day from 82.31 up to 86.72, and really hasn't given much of that back. Made a high on Friday at 85.85, getting the Barron's boost above that level. The pre-market trading here, taking it right up to 86 and a quarter. This is the highest that this stock is traded at here in quite some time. You did have that 86.72 high in that big spike day, so we'll be looking for that as a resistance point. Above that, you could be sneaking back up into the $90 level. Also, a stock is mentioned here, and also mentioned here last week is one of my wife's choices as a stock for 2014 here. General Motors, getting rid of the government here, government interest now above this $40 level. Nice move in the issue on Friday. Closed above 40, made a 40.38 high, closed at 40.17. Now you're getting the positive ink and Barron's, getting a boost in the pre-market to 40.48. So no one's bought up here, so may not be any sellers as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on this issue. Ford not having quite the same run here. I know I'm a little sour on the Ford stock. Dana's had another recall in her Ford Escape, multiple recalls in that. Had a higher open on Friday, but ran into some institutional selling at the $17 level. Real major level for that. I mean, you don't have to be a technician to see this 1720 level here. Great Wall to China. So shorts are on in this until it takes out that 1720, and then perhaps we'd get a chance to run in that issue. Another focus of the top 10 stocks, Intel has the PC market bottom. I don't know if you guys went out and bought a new PC lately.
Just a Chromebook.
Just a Chromebook?
About 3 years ago, I bought a desktop, and I hope I'm set for the next 7 years or so.
Because Intel did make a nice move. I believe it had the move kind of a weird. This is really a weird technical formation for Intel. You usually don't see it. Usually it's a little bit more methodical in its movements. Did sneak over the $25 level on Friday. You had a 25.25 high on Friday. That matches the 25.29 high that you had on November 29 or November 21st here. Peeled back, closed back below the $25 level. I think I would just have to wait for the dust to settle on this one a little bit. Perhaps come back into the lower 24s before I'd get an interest on that. I mean, just very unusual pattern here for Intel. So perhaps you get a chance to buy this one a little bit cheaper. Also, on that list of top stocks, MetLife, insurance companies. Now, here's one that's already had a pretty nice run this year. Uh, Straight up, if you're looking at the beginning of the year, it was just trading above 30. Now hit well over the $50 level. Not get trading up a little bit here in the pre-market. Identified that is another issue. Closed at 51.67, 52 and a quarter high. We are trading up there in the pre-market. Made a 52.15 high. So MetLife opening into some initial resistance here. Another issue that was mentioned, one that we don't follow a lot here, Simon Property Group, biggest mall owner in the world ever, eclipsing Mr. Taubman's malls that he has based here in the Detroit area and really all over the place. But this stock has had a nice run this year too. They're looking for that to continue. Looking at the chart here, major resistance in Simon Property Group, just above the 154 level, 154.16 was a high that you had on the 18th of November, and then you had another high at 154.29. So still a couple bucks away from that critical level. And actually, it hasn't done that great this year. I take it back. It started the year out at in the 155, 158 area. It did have the sprint over 180, but it's pulled back here. So Barron's looking some value here in a stock that hasn't performed that well this year. Other issues covered as potential buys for this year. IGT, International Game Technologies. This stock has been a underperformer here for quite a few years. Taking a look at that on a technical basis, trading up here a little bit in the pre-market, which up 22 cents. Here's one if you're looking for a possible breakout here. Struggled the last two times it got to the $18 level, got to 18.05, 17.99, 18 even, 18.05, three highs in a row. You are breaking above that level here, pre-market trading. Things really open up here until 1850, 19 even. You don't have a high until 1935. If you are buying this thing on a breakout above the $18 level, prepared perhaps to take some heat down to the close of 1787. Other stocks mentioned positively in Barron's, Macy's, and this stock has had a nice run. One of the retailers that is doing well. They're talking how they've really have upgraded their online business to supplement their stores. Now, who Macy's is? I mean, who have they bought? I mean, they've bought Hudson's. I mean, Marshall Fields. Dayton Hudson. Can you guys remember going back that far? I mean, it's
Lord and Taylor was it too?
no,
No.
Lord and Taylor's still there. But Macy's, maybe we'll watch Miracle on 34th Street here during the holidays, right? A good holiday movie.
Absolutely.
The stock is developing excellent support just above the $51 level. Three lows between 51.14 and 51.37. So we'll be keeping an eye on the 51.25 level, and close to a possible breakout on the upside. Two highs at 52.15 and 52.20. So that's your resistance. Above that, you get closer to the $53 level. A couple gambling stocks that were also mentioned favorably. WYNN Resorts here, trading up in the pre-market. Looking at the daily charts here, stock had a nice run on Friday. We'll see if it can continue follow through. Actually, this thing was closed at 163.31 back on Tuesday and added 10 points in only 3 trading sessions. Trading right near Friday's high, which was 174. Did get a quick spike in the after-hours session on Friday at 174.50. But now the trading here is finding resistance at the intraday high at 173.95. So we'll be keeping an eye on the 174 level. If there's any issues that you guys are trading in the Options House chat room, just put them in there. We'd like to take a quick look ahead of the open here. The S&Ps are moving up here, just making a new high in the pre-market session at 1809.75. That eclipses our 5-day high of 1809. And the only other resistance here we have is at 1812.50. That's the all-time high.
How about a couple of the top upgrades, downgrades for the session?
Okay, let's go over
Yeah,
those.
that's cool. Okay. I know you guys talk about some of those upgrades, downgrades a little bit earlier, but I figure it's a nice little review we can do here. A couple of top upgrades.
For our pre-market traders that are like get out of bed a little bit later,
Yeah.
little groggy. Maybe they were staying up watching that
That's fine.
Sunday night football
That's
game.
fine.
Not everyone's as chipper and as happy to be in the office on Monday morning as we are, Brent.
I understand. It's a tough life out there. Did have.
It's a Wonderful Life. Isn't that another Christmas movie?
Getting in the holiday spirit, I guess.
Yeah, little Joe. I'm sure you'll be chiming in with one of your all-time favorites here soon.
A Christmas Story, obviously.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention the Scrooge. I'm sure he's gonna be coming up. The
It's
Grinch.
called A Christmas Carol.
The Scrooge that stole Christmas, something like that.
The Grinch that stole Christmas.
Oh yeah, there I could come. Instead of Mighty Joe Young, I call him Grinchy Joe Young.
Grinchy. You're a mean one.
I'm green with envy of you coming up with that one, Joel.
Now you're talking Dr. Seuss on me.
Oh, JH3 saying he's chipper too. He wants to go in. He's ready.
He's ready.
His bench is getting too warm.
We're talking favorite Christmas movies for me. Muppet Christmas Carol.
Okay,
Oh,
Tim
dang.
from the
Here
ratings
it
desk,
is.
the Muppet Christmas
That's
Carol.
a good call.
I haven't
That's a good
seen
one.
And Tim's also a movie buff, and he was pumping Frozen as something. And
yeah.
I'm not one to go see animated movies, but going on Tim's recommendation here, I may go see that movie.
I agree. I'm in the same boat as you.
Okay, so let's get to some of those upgrades.
Yeah, why not? I mean, we did have Valero shares upgraded at both Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan. Valero definitely should be moving higher on that one. Let me check the chart real quick.
Yeah, we did. We did get a move in Valero,
About
Ohio.
1.33%-ish.
Yeah, pre-market. Let's take a look at where this is trading now. Or we will go to Friday's trading in this. Hit a high at 47.20. So we'll be trading above that. That will be acting as a minor support level. We did get a trade up though to 47.66. So good to go north of Valero as long as you hold Friday's high at 47.20.
You guys were talking teen retailers a little bit earlier. B. Riley & Co. did upgrade shares of American Eagle to buy. That stock is trading up. Not too much, about a 0.5% right now. Pretty quiet, but B. Riley is a bit of a lower tier firm. They do have a pretty decent reputation, but as far as moving a stock, probably not going to get too big of a movement on that one. D.A. Davidson upgraded shares of Gildan Activewear, that is ticker GIL, to a buy. That stock, I don't really see any action in that name yet. On the downgrade side of things, Goldman Sachs downgraded shares of Banco Santander, that is ticker SAN, Sandy Alpha November, to sell. Slapping the sell rating on there. We have shares of Given Imaging down, where did it go on my watch list here? It is up 25% on some news. Getting a downgrade from Cantor Fitzgerald and also from Maxim Group. The news there on Given. Let's see. Oh, they're getting purchased by Covidian for $30 per share. That is COV. Check COV chart. I'm sure that one's moving on this news. Covidian shares are trading down. I don't see any action actually in Covidian. So we get a big purchase and the acquirer not really moving. Usually you see acquirer going down, but not the case here this morning. Morgan Stanley downgrading shares of Dean Foods, Delta, Foxtrot to equal weight. Also, one more notable downgrade this morning as far as I've seen MKM Partners downgrading shares of Ingersoll Rand to neutral. And couple of new coverages that we might want to highlight this morning. Actually, you guys were just talking 3D printers. We did have Pacific Crest coming out with some new coverage on shares of Triple D, also on Stratasys. And then one that you guys didn't talk about a little bit earlier is XONE, that is ticker X-Ray Oscar November Echo XOEN. Wait, did I say that right? No, XONE. That's right. Triple D with an outperform rating, and both Stratasys and XONE with sector performs. So that Pacific Crest analyst liking shares of Triple D a little bit more than those other two 3D printing plays.
I think if I'm gonna play this 3D sector, which I'm not, this is what my possible thesis here, and we can shoot holes in it if you want. But I mean, how hard is it? I mean, don't you think Hewlett Packard should have come up with this technology? I mean, they're the printing kings, and actually, our guest on from not last week but the following week, Tim Collins at Bon Byrne, mentioned, hey. Yeah, they mentioned it in their last report. They get into that sector. You got to figure they have the technology, right, to be able to compete with those companies.
So you think they're just going to sort of dominate the market?
I think they could slip into it, maybe get a little bit of market share.
But Hewlett Packard is planning on entering the 3D printing realm independently, so they must have some trick up their sleeve.
Exactly. That stock had a nice sprint last week up to 28.70, coming back to roost. Like the $27 level, trading down in the pre-market. A lot of people stuck between 25 and 27, but perhaps you get it peeled back to the $27 level. You can find that as support. The big news on this Cisco. I mean, come on. I mean, is this really validated by taking over? I mean, the company they took over. What's the name of it?
U.S. Foods.
Okay. And how big of a company is that?
I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar company. It's a major deal we got going on here.
I just
almost
like
a
the
$4 billion deal.
Yeah, let's just take a look at this. This thing had a spike up in the pre-market. I mean, and it's a pretty thick stock here, right?
Definitely.
So trades, not a real thick stock, not one of your heavy volume here, but you did get a spike up here in the pre-market at 46.82. I wish Dennis was on because I would fade him on that. He probably thinks this thing's going to $50 today, and I just think it's way overdone. I mean, I don't see how someone can develop all the synergies that this is going to take place. Taking a look of how the issue is trading so far today, was holding 43 in the pre-market here. We've made a 43.04 low so far during the regular session. I just cannot see people not taking profits in this stock. I think I'll hold the support at the $43 level, but probably by the time we get off the end of this show here, we're going to be at $42. So
that'll be one to check.
Yeah, we'll take a look at this one. Trading 43.05.
I'm sure there's going to be a call to discuss this action, so we'll be tuning into that one. Whenever that one is, I'm going to have to check the press release. A couple of the initial headlines out of that release, as far as on the cost savings front, it says Cisco looking to save over the span of 3 to 4 years, $600 million in costs due to this purchase of U.S. Foods. I mean, that's a big number, but I don't know. I mean, I'm probably on your side of things where I'm a little bit more skeptical of a almost 30% gain here.
Doesn't Cisco make that lard or that grease or something like that that you throw into like a fry?
You mean Crisco?
Yes.
It might be a good call, actually.
I mean, as far as I know, that's the only thing they make. No, I'm just joking. We have cut through that $43 level there. Now made a low at $42.60. So I think if you're, what if you're an institution, holding this stock, and it's been a decent move. You had a nice run up, sitting on some profits here. Traded ridiculously high in the pre-market.
Yeah, they're not
46.
They're not holding it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it. Also after trading up that high, you would just think that, boy, even you need to go down to 34, 31 to fill the gap. I don't think that's gonna be happening anytime soon here.
Joel, I just want to cut in here really quick. Crisco is manufactured by the J.M. Smucker Company.
Oh, so I was just thinking Cisco Crisco, huh?
Yeah,
So
that's
Cisco,
right. Or you could have done Cisco Systems Crisco, but it's not. It's made by Smucker.
Yeah,
so Cisco doesn't make anything apparently. If they don't make Crisco, I don't know what the heck
they make money. I mean, they're making money now. Their shareholders are. When Dennis first asked me, he's like, "Oh yeah, Cisco got taken over." I'm like, "What?" It's Cisco Systems, but yeah, now we're trading here 42.32 low here, trading at 42.42 here. So maybe we can have Dennis pop in and see we're supported in this thing, because I don't see it for a ways down. But we do have Cisco trading lower off that news. Let's just move into the big gun, the S&P 500. Nice overnight session. Got up to 1810. Just like to notice that pre-market high still at 0975. So have not been able to reach that level yet. We'll use that as resistance. Above that 1812.50 earmarks the all-time high for the index. Moving on, some other issues that we covered during the broadcast today. Apple week on Friday, trading up in the pre-market, holds the 560 level off the hop here. No major resistance until you get to Friday's high at 566.75. We had been talking forever and your brother about Cisco at $42, by the way, here. Dennis, you just lost your bet that you didn't make. Now, ExxonMobil did clear out that seller at 96 here, got to 96.07, missed the all-time high by a nickel. Now, what you had here is you had everyone getting excited buying those 96s here. Then you didn't get the follow through the $96 level. All those breakout traders realized they got faked out, and they pounded immediately down to 95.60. The close at 95.65. So we'll see if that early morning low can hold up here in shares of ExxonMobil. Keeping in mind 96.12 is the all-time high, and we did clear out that seller at 96. So we'll see if gets back above there. Could perhaps hold the second time. Couple other stocks that we talked about that had tremendous runs on Friday. One of those issues, Johnson & Johnson, major run on Friday. Did not get the follow through here through Friday's high, which was 94.48, so perhaps a seller at 94.50. ExxonMobil held again off the hop. I think what Dennis is pointing out here is that initial pop up to 96. Let's take a look at it on the intraday chart here. If we can pull up XOM, I'm sure we can. Heavily traded issue. Opened up at 95.95 and then did get the initial sell-off, took it out on the second try. S&P's here rejecting that pre-market high of 1810 now. We are trading at 1807.50, making new lows as we speak. But nothing, no good clear support until you get down to that close at 1805. Your after hours pre-market low was at 1804.75. That coincided nicely with the low, so we'll be keeping an eye on that as support.
Joel, check out this move higher in JCPenney. Nice bounce off the open. Traded from 810 to 830 in just, I don't know, a minute or so.
Well, that stock just got annihilated. We were talking about that last week, and now you're getting a little greenness here.
A little
bit of a dead cat bounce here. 804 was your low on Friday. You got the 808 in the session. Perhaps institutional bid sitting there at the $8 level. We do have a number to watch this one over the next few trading sessions, because you had that 4-point move from 624 up to 1030. Now you're going to peel back. You got a little bit. So right now where it's trading, 830 is my level. That's what I'm going to be watching for a couple days here. See if you can get some consolidation here and just a little retracement, little $4 move. I know I'm probably the only one on Wall Street that thinks this, but you had a $4 move from 624 up to 1030. Maybe make a little bottom here at the $8 level and get a move up to the $12 level. I'm sure I'm the only one on that. I bet you if Brian Sazi's listening right now, he's going to be calling in and giving me a tongue lashing on the phone. But I'm just looking at it from a technical basis. Another stock that we talked about that had a very nice move on Friday, Wells Fargo here. Now, got some follow through, open low. If you're buying that thing off the open, you got some profits here. 44.14 low, basically opened only slightly higher with the S&Ps, but now shares of Wells Fargo are contending with a triple top here at the 47 to 44.51 level. Those were some highs that we had at the end of November. Perhaps an institution that was out there back at the end of November is back today, trading right at the high, 44.46. 45 was our last print. Moving on to some other issues that were covered in the show today. If you're looking to trade the Procter and Gamble with the Johnson & Johnson, did get some initial follow through off the open through Friday's high, which was 84.53. Got up to the 84.72 level. Not a lot there. You had an 84.89 high. Couldn't quite get there. We are now trading at the close here. So I'd like to see Procter Gamble holding here, or perhaps may follow the Johnson & Johnson lower on the session today. If there's any stocks that you guys are trading out there that you'd like us to take a look at off the open here, try to cover everything under the moon, but I'm sure we missed some stocks that you're trading, so let us know. We'll take a look at them.
Joe, I'm looking for some resistance in Tesla.
You're looking for resistance?
Excuse me, some support on that downside.
I was going to say, I thought that thing was going down on Friday,
yeah.
and now you're telling me,
Oh, it's continuing, yes.
I believe Brad, who was in the room on Friday, I don't know if he's trading that issue, trying to day trade it or trading the short term. Brad, if you're out there, let us know your time frame for that stock.
Just broke below 135.
Yeah, I tell you, I don't see any. I'd really like to see this thing back at the 130 level.
That's my next support level.
Yeah.
Got a little ways to go, huh?
You had the gap up on the Morgan Stanley heading
that was
into
the third.
The best ideas list.
The best ideas ever on Inside the Universe.
And go out and buy 100,000 shares of the market list.
That's the conviction we need.
That's a conviction list. Ran into problems at 145. You did have a gap up between 128.55 and 131.59, so that's a whole area. Also, you had if you look at the 116.10 low up to that 145 area, if you peel back halfway, you come back to that 130 area. So if this Tesla's move is for real, come back, consolidate around that $130 area. Poised and consolidate a little bit and then get ready to move on. Cisco stock is no friend of mine here. Yep, 41.60 here. Now it's hard, 41.43 low. Now we're $5 off that ridiculous pre-market high. Had a pre-market high at 46.82. Here's an example of, if you do have access, you're trading in the pre-market. Hey, you don't always have to initiate positions, but if you own a stock like Cisco Foods, trades up, at ridiculous,
30%.
Trades up in the pre-market here. You just can not necessarily initiate these positions, but if it hits your target or something you're looking to trade out of, you certainly have to take a look at it because
Pigs get slaughtered.
yeah, may never trade 46.98 again.
So I see 12.5 million shares in Cisco traded so far today. That's the stock normally trades about 3 million shares over the entire course of a trading session. There's some liquidity for you at least.
I mean, how could you be? I mean, I'm not necessarily chastising people that bought the stock, but I mean, come on. I mean, you gotta look at it within the the realm of what the stock does on an average daily basis. Yeah, they're buying U.S. foods. I don't know if that all the mechanics of that company here, but boy, in order to have that kind of move, but you know what? The Momo guys and the algorithms get going in the pre-market, and they don't care. They just want to find price here. We are just about here to break below the $41 level here, 41.01 low. I gotta imagine the only people that are buying this thing are people that shorted it at some time. I don't see how you could be initiating a long position in this issue. We are now under $41. We just traded down to 40.91 here, so we'll see if it could find a bottom here, but before our broadcast ends here in a couple minutes. Taking a look at General Electric, did have some positive ink and bearings about this as far as a company that may grow by selling, and they shuttered their financial operations I believe a week or so ago. They're getting down to their core business, trying to get their profit margins down to their to their industrial base, so we'll see. Probably an institution seller here at the $27 level here, so no breakout yet for General Electric. ExxonMobil, new all-time high for ExxonMobil, 96.23, eclipses the former all-time high at 96.12, back under the $96 level. So still some institutions looking out there selling at the $96 level. And then we had mentioned, just going back to that ExxonMobil, a stock that moves well with that ExxonMobil is Chevron Corporation. Chevron Corporation did catch a bid here early in AM trading, multiple highs at that 123 level. We had alerted our traders to three highs between 122.83 and 123.06. Got up to 123 even. Maybe the institutional sellers stepped down to that level. It's keeping the lid here on the rally so far in shares of Chevron. The dip in the morning took it down. That was off the open. Friday's close 122.29, made a 22.16 low. Dennis just piping in 84,000 shares at GE. Yeah, not a big order, but so far big enough to keep a lid on the rally so far in GE. If in fact we clear that $27 level, do have a little real estate up to 27.17, and then the recent high of the move has been up at 27.50.
Joe, real quick before we conclude the show, how about taking one more look at IBM? Got a user just chatting in with a little question on that one.
Okay, IBM here, not a good performer this year. Just taking a quick look at the chart. I know where the support is. Support is at the $175 level. Had a couple lows in that area. Don't think you got that low today. 178 is the number here. 178 was Friday's high. We hit 178 so far in today's session. You also go back to the third. You had a high at 178.23. So need a breakout above 178 here. Not a lot of room. Not a lot of resistance between 178 and 180. Coming back on the downside here. At 177 print, you would have had to been pretty quick to catch that. But need to take out that resistance at 178 in IBM. Well, we hope we covered enough stocks for you all today. Thanks.
There's a lot of stocks, I feel like.
Yeah, Stock Monday here. I'm going to have to take a breath, grab a drink of water, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.